Hi guys! So we have finished talking about natural family planning, and now we are into artificial family planning or contraception. And it's just a method of family planning, artificial, that utilizes devices, medications or drugs, as well as scientific techniques. So it alters the natural process of conception. So there are major classes of artificial family planning, which is long acting and short acting, and then we have reversible and irreversible. Also, we can actually merge them such that we have long acting reversible and long acting irreversible. Yeah, and then we have the short acting. So what are long acting reversible family planning or contraceptive methods? These are actually, they include a non-hormonal intrauterine device, which we all call copper T, yeah, because it contains copper and it is T-shaped. And then we have the hormonal intrauterine device, the one we call IUS, because that one contains hormone, the progesterone. And then that is actually for the intrauterine devices. And then we have the implants, which are inserted into the skin, actually the arm. Did I say the forearm? and they release hormones. So we're going to take them one after the other. The copper intrauterine device, the one that contains copper, is T-shaped, which is usually inserted into the uterus by a trained medical provider. And what this does is that it releases copper into the uterus, and this makes the uterus, if I say uterus, womb, which makes the womb uncomfortable for egg to be fertilized in it. So the sperm will not be able to go in and fertilize the egg. Also, we have the hormonal intrauterine device, the one we call IUS. And this one is also T-shaped, but instead of containing copper, it contains progesterone, which it releases, and in the same way makes the uterus uncomfortable for the egg and the sperm to come together and then make fertilization and all of that. But as much as there are lots of advantages to the intrauterine device, which I'll be stating now, there are also I call it very little disadvantage. So the good side of having intrauterine devices inserted as a method of contraception is that, number one, it for the IUD, the copper T, it is non-hormonal. It has nothing to do with hormones. While the IUS is hormonal. Yeah. So if you are wanting a contraceptive method that is non-hormonal, the copper T is the best for you. Also, another good thing is that it can be used as an emergency contraception. Like if you've had unprotected sex and within 5 days of having unprotected sex, you can go have it inserted. Another good side of it is that it can be inserted anytime, as long as you're not pregnant at that time. In fact, some people even insert it immediately after having a baby. So these are the good sides of it. But the little disadvantage, which I call it little because they are nothing. Number one is that it requires a well-trained personnel to insert it. Number two is that there may be risk of perforation on your uterus. It might perforate, it might pierce your uterus in the process of inserting. And this is usually if the person inserting it does not have the experience. Yeah. Also, a lot of people say, oh, they get infection because they have a intrauterine device inserted. No, this is not true. It does not increase the risk of vaginal or uterine infection. Instead, if you already have an infection at the time of insertion, or you are the very dirty type, a lot of people wear their underwears for 2-3 days. You don't mind, even when it's smelling, they'll still wear it. or you have so many sex partners, you know, that when you have different sex partners and you have sex unprotected, there are risk of having infection. So it is not the device that is giving you that infection, but if you do have an infection before it was inserted, or you contact one, there is risk of a pelvic infection. So it is you are the one who caused that one, not the device itself. So that is it for intrauterine devices, both the hormonal and the copper, the non-hormonal. Now let us go to implants. So the implants, like I have mentioned previously, they are just like a matchstick, not that long, and they're not wooden, just rubber inserted into the skin. What it does is that it releases the hormone progesterone into the bloodstream. What does this do? What it does is that it prevents the ovaries from releasing eggs to be fertilized. Yeah, in other words, it hinders ovulation. Also, it also thickens the mucus. You know that in natural family plan we talked about cervical secretion. So it thickens the mucus from the cervix. Yeah, and this makes it impossible for the sperm to move through and get to the womb to fertilize an egg. Another way it works is that it makes the environment in the womb, the womb environment, the lining, become very thin, such a way that it won't be able to accept a fertilized egg. Yeah, so this is how it works, and there are so many good sides to implants, and one of them is that it does not interrupt sex. It does not interrupt sex as for those that like it raw. Another one is that it lasts long, so you don't have to wake up every day to take a tablet. Another good side to implant is that some research have proven that it prevents some types of cancer. A lot of you say, oh, implant causes cancer. I don't know where you guys got that from. Oh. But then there are some disadvantages, and one of them is that it interrupts your normal menstrual cycle. It does. Yeah. Another thing is that it's very uncomfortable to insert, and it is very uncomfortable to remove. Actually, it's like, you know, when you have your injection, but this one it's more painful than having an injection. I have an experience. I have one on. Yeah, and if you can't really see it, and this is even an advantage, or aside that little discomfort you get, once it has been inserted and healed, a lot of people will even know that you have something on. It's nothing. So that is it for implants.